Last week on vacation, I just sat and stared at the waves crashing on the beach. I've taken a lot of trips to the beach, and I just can't get over the majesty of the ocean. It's so peaceful, but yet powerful. I just sit and think about how much the waves resemble the qualities of God. He's strong like the huge waves. He is as gentle as the smallest rolling waves. No person can change the patterns of the waves, and God is unchangeable. He supplies our needs like the ocean supplies sustenance to every creature in it. God is for us, and He is the unstoppable force that I want to roll with and not against. And as beautiful as the ocean is, I have a complete and total respect for it. I don't want to be in its fury. There's a book in the Bible called Job about a man who lost all of his belongings and his family. His friends tried to reason why God would allow it to happen. Job himself went on kind of a rant questioning God, but God's response was just to ask questions in return. God told him, "Brace yourself like a man, because I have some questions for you. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth?" He asked several more questions, but the one that leaves me breathless is when he asked, "Who kept the sea inside of its boundaries?" God is the one who told the ocean, "This far and no further will you come. Here your proud waves must stop." I am amazed by the strength and the beauty of the ocean, but the thing is that as mighty as the ocean is, God created it and controls it. He is so much mightier than the ocean and so much mightier than we can even imagine. He doesn't have anything to prove, and that alone makes me want to praise Him. The same goes when I see a huge mountain or a beautiful sunset. Those crazy, amazing things that are out of my reach and that are out of my control were created by God, just speaking them into existence. So when I am breathless by the creation, I know ultimately it's the beauty of God Himself that is leaving me stunned. Be blessed.
That is so beautiful. And, a lot of those things that you said, I can totally relate to. There's a song talking about that the ocean can only come this far.
Yes,
I don't know
love that song.
I don't know who sings it,
Yes.
but it's really true. It's like, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go up against God. I'm not going to question who am I to question the Creator of the universe. We are the created. Mm-hmm. There's so much we don't know.
It really puts us in our place, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think there are people, you've heard stories of people saying, I was angry with God. I didn't like what happened. First of all, we're told that we will have problems here.
Yes.
So if we can just accept that and know that that's part of being on this planet, that it's not something that's happening to punish us or it's just part of this life.
Yes, and just like Job, his friends thought, well, it's because you did something wrong. Mm-hmm. And yes, we all do things wrong, but it wasn't because, God didn't even address that in His answer. He just asked him questions. He's like, well, where were you? Right. If you have so much knowledge and so much foresight, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Right. Where were you when I created all of this and all of that? And that just makes us feel small, but the thing is, as small as we really are as the creation, God cares about each one of us so well.
I know. He knows every hair on our head. And Job was a pretty good guy. You know what I mean? It's like there are people I know that believe that, well, you did this or that wrong, so that's why this is happening to you. I don't believe that. I believe that we sometimes have our own consequences for the things that we choose to do, but I don't think that God, punishes us in that way.
We live in a broken world.
We do.
So broken things happen, bad things happen, but at the end of the day, God is still good regardless. And that's all I could think about as I just sat there and watched the ocean crash, is just how beautiful the creation was. But if this creation is so beautiful, what does that tell you about the Creator? How beautiful He is and how good He is.
Absolutely. And He says He's even with you if you're under the sea, in the depths of the sea or wherever you are. He's always with you, that you can't be separated from Him.
Yes. Well, that encouraged you today.
It really does. And that was a beautiful, beautiful beach. And I hope to go to Hawaii someday. Those were some big waves. Were you body surfing there?
I did not. That was too big for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was beautiful.
I respect it.
I definitely do. Thank you, Cammie. Yes. That was a beautiful Be Blessed. We'll be back with lots more fun. Don't go anywhere. Yes, thanks. Got my bracelet from